A young black woman helps an elderly lady on the subway, not knowing her gesture will change everything. Alicia is a young artist facing a world that doesn't always value her choices. In an unexpected encounter on the subway, a simple act of kindness changes her path. But at a dinner that was meant to be special, she realizes not everyone is ready to accept her. It was a sweltering summer afternoon, and the city's subway was even more crowded than usual. The thick, humid air made passengers sweat as they packed into the cars. Alicia, a 27-year-old black woman, tried to ignore the heat and exhaustion after a long day at her ceramic studio. She distracted herself by watching the fast-moving scenery outside the windows, but her mind wandered, thinking about the piled-up bills and the pieces she needed to sell to balance her home expenses. When the subway made a sudden stop, Alicia noticed an elderly woman with neatly combed white hair and a floral dress struggling to keep her balance. The heavy bags she carried in her frail hands almost toppled her. Alicia watched for a moment and was reminded of her own mother, who struggled with her failing health. She felt a pang of empathy. She could be my mother, she thought. Without hesitation, Alicia approached the woman. "Excuse me, can I help you with those bags?" she asked with a warm smile. The elderly woman looked up, surprised by the offer. "Oh, my dear, you're an angel. I didn't want to be a bother, but my hands can't bear this weight like they used to," she said, her smile trembling as she handed the bags to Alicia. "Don't worry about it. What's your name?" Alicia asked gently. "Beatriz, my dear. You can call me Dona Beatriz," she replied, with a look of relief in her eyes. Alicia held the bags and offered her arm for support, while Dona Beatriz leaned heavily on her. For the rest of the ride, the two chatted. Dona Beatriz, with a tone of nostalgia, talked about the days when the subway was less crowded, about the loss of her husband, and the loneliness of living in a small apartment while her two children lived far away. Alicia, in turn, shared stories about her studio, which she had worked so hard to set up, and her mother, who had always encouraged her to follow her dreams, even in the hardest times. When they reached the final station, Alicia insisted on accompanying Dona Beatriz home, worried about the weight of the bags. As they walked through the old, tree-lined streets of the neighborhood, the two found unexpected comfort in their conversation. Moved, Dona Beatriz held Alicia's hand for a moment. "You know, my dear, finding someone like you is rare these days. May God bless you for your kindness." Alicia smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. "I just did what felt right, Dona Beatriz. My mother always says we should help each other when we can." Arriving at the small, worn-out building where Dona Beatriz lived, Alicia carried the bags up to the third floor. When they opened the door to the modest apartment, the elderly woman turned and hugged her gratefully. "Thank you, Alicia. May your path be filled with light." Alicia said her goodbyes, touched by the woman's words, and left feeling like she had made someone's day better. She headed to the restaurant where she was meeting her boyfriend, Ricardo, and his parents, hoping that her act of kindness might bring good fortune for the dinner she was so anxious about. Alicia arrived at the restaurant still feeling the warmth of the kindness she had shared with Dona Beatriz. The elegant atmosphere of the place, with its bright chandeliers and finely decorated tables, made her heart race a little faster. Ricardo was waiting at the entrance, smiling nervously when he saw her. "Hi, love. I hope everything goes well tonight. My parents are a bit traditional, but they'll love you, just be yourself." Alicia tried to smile. "I'm trying to stay positive, Ricardo. It'll be fine." But a hint of worry still lingered. When they reached the table, Ricardo's parents, a middle-aged couple with rigid postures and impeccable clothes, greeted Alicia with polite smiles, but their gazes were scrutinizing. She sat down feeling an invisible weight, as if every word she spoke would be judged. Throughout the dinner, the questions began to roll in, always with a tone that, to Alicia, sounded almost like a veiled interrogation. "So, Alicia, you work in the arts, right?" Ricardo's mother asked, adjusting her pearl necklace with a faintly disdainful expression. "Yes, I'm a visual artist. I have a studio where I do ceramics and paintings. It's work that requires dedication, but it fulfills me," Alicia replied, trying to remain calm. "But does that make any money, dear?" his mother insisted, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ricardo tried to interrupt. "Mom, Alicia's work is beautiful. I've told you about her pieces," but Ricardo's father, who had remained silent until then, spoke dryly. "Art is a vocation, but the world demands livelihood. And, with all due respect, being an artist isn't easy." Alicia felt her face flush. The father's words cut through her self-esteem like knives, but she tried to keep her composure. "I know it's challenging, sir, but I believe deeply in what I do. I'm fighting to build something meaningful." Her response was met with silence. Ricardo grew increasingly uncomfortable, fiddling with his napkin, unable to stand up to his parents. I just wanted you to see how hard Alicia works," he mumbled, without raising his eyes. Alicia felt crushed. Ricardo's lack of response made her question everything. She thought of her mother and the strength she had always had to show on her own. When dessert arrived, the discomfort was palpable. Alicia forced a smile as she looked at Ricardo, but the hurt in her eyes couldn't be hidden. At the end of the night, Ricardo walked her to a taxi, apologizing in a whisper. "I'm sorry, Alicia. I didn't expect it to be like this. My parents are complicated." She just nodded, feeling a lump in her throat. "I just wanted you to be by my side, Ricardo. That's all I needed." His silence was the most painful answer. When she got into the taxi, silent tears rolled down her cheeks. She felt that the night had shown her more than she wanted to admit, that perhaps Ricardo wasn't capable of offering the support she so desperately needed. The days following the dinner were hard for Alicia. Frustration lingered in everything she did, as she tried to manage her ceramic studio and cope with growing concerns about her mother's health. She spent most of her days at the hospital, watching her mother struggle with her frail body. One afternoon, the doctor called her in for a private conversation. "Your mother needs urgent surgery, Alicia. It's a delicate and expensive operation, but it's necessary to give her a chance at recovery." Alicia felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. She knew that the money from selling her art wouldn't be enough to cover the surgery. Desperate, she turned to Ricardo, hoping he would at least offer emotional support. When she arrived at his place, he was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, seemingly distracted. "Ricardo, I need your help. My mom needs urgent surgery. I don't know how I'll come up with the money." "I thought maybe," she hesitated, her voice trembling as she searched for the right words. Ricardo sighed, his eyes still glued to the phone. "I'm really sorry about your mom, Alicia, truly, but I'm going through a rough patch at work. I don't think I can take on more problems right now." Alicia felt a chill run down her spine, a loneliness that seemed to envelop her whole being. I just wanted you to be by my side, you know? Even if it was just to support me emotionally." Ricardo finally looked at her, but his gaze was distant. "I care, but it's hard, you understand? I can't be involved in everything." She swallowed hard, fighting back the tears. "I understand, yes. I think I understand more than you realize." Without waiting for a response, Alicia stood up, feeling the weight of her decision. As she walked out of Ricardo's house, she felt a deep sadness but also a certainty. There was no more space for that relationship. She walked through the streets, battling the sense of defeat but determined to find a way, even if she had to do it alone. The fundraising campaign Alicia had started among friends and acquaintances was gaining momentum. Her hands worked tirelessly in the studio, and the pressure to raise enough money for her mother's surgery kept her moving. Though the worry was constant, a small sense of hope began to bloom inside her. One Saturday morning, as she walked to open her studio, something unexpected happened. She was so absorbed in her thoughts that she almost didn't hear the voice calling her name. "Alicia, wait." She turned around and saw Dona Beatriz, smiling broadly beside a tall man with kind features. He wore a light jacket and had an attentive look that radiated instant warmth. "Dona Beatriz, what a nice surprise," Alicia exclaimed, hurrying over to greet the elderly woman who had inspired so much affection in her. "How are you doing?" "Oh, my dear, I'm doing well, thank God. And look, I want you to meet my grandson, Gabriel. He's been eager to meet the young woman who helped me that day on the subway." Gabriel smiled and extended his hand. His handshake was firm but gentle. "Nice to meet you, Alicia. My grandmother talks about you all the time, he said, with a genuine smile. Dona Beatriz soon invited them to a cafe nearby, insisting on paying for the drinks. As they chatted, Alicia briefly mentioned the challenges she was facing with her mother's health and the high cost of the surgery. Gabriel, listening carefully, exchanged a meaningful glance with his grandmother before leaning toward Alicia. You know, Alicia, my grandmother and I are very grateful for your help, and we would like to repay you in some way. Please, let us help with your mother's surgery. Helping those who help us is one of our family's core values. Alicia's eyes widened in complete surprise at the offer. I don't even know how to thank you, but I can't accept something so big. It wouldn't be fair. Dona Beatriz took her hand, interrupting her with a calm look. My dear, true generosity comes from the heart, and you helped us without asking for anything in return. Now it's our turn to extend a hand. Let us do this for you. Alicia felt tears welling up, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. I accept then, and I promise I'll repay you somehow when I can. Thank you, truly. Gabriel smiled, relaxing in his seat. You've already done so much, Alicia. Now it's time for us to take care of this together. With Gabriel and Dona Beatriz's help, Alicia was able to schedule her mother's surgery. That afternoon, as she accompanied her mother to the hospital, Alicia felt as if a massive weight had been lifted from her shoulders. It was as if, after so long, the universe was finally returning some of the kindness she had always tried to spread. And alongside Gabriel, Alicia began to discover a new companionship, one that not only offered support, but also shared her ideals of generosity. In those simple gestures, like sharing a coffee or walking to the hospital, Alicia sensed that a new friendship was blossoming, perhaps even something more. But she wouldn't let herself dream too far ahead. First, she needed to focus on her mother's recovery. The surgery was a success, and Alicia's mother was recovering well. With each hospital visit, Alicia felt her gratitude grow. You're getting stronger every day, Mom, she'd say, holding her mother's hand and reading aloud from books, just like she had done when she was a child. Now that her mother's condition was stable, Alicia knew it was time to return to her studio and make up for lost time. The bills wouldn't wait, and she needed to ensure a more secure future for both of them. She threw herself back into her work, painting, molding, and creating new ceramic pieces that she hoped to sell online. Gabriel, always attentive to Alicia's efforts, saw the potential in her creations. During one of his visits to the studio, he made a suggestion that could change Alicia's future. Alicia, have you thought about selling your pieces online? I work in digital marketing, and I think your work has incredible potential to reach a wider audience. Alicia smiled, but there was a hint of insecurity in her expression. I've never been good with online stuff, Gabriel. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to handle it. Gabriel responded with a calmness that surprised her. I can help you. We can do this together. Create a website, set up social media pages. I'll teach you everything you need. For a few moments, Alicia hesitated. She was afraid of failure, of investing in something that might not work out. But Gabriel's enthusiasm and the confidence he exuded made her believe this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. All right, Gabriel. If you think we can do this, I'm willing to try. In the days that followed, Gabriel visited Alicia's studio frequently, helping her photograph the pieces, creating an online portfolio, and building the website. He patiently explained marketing strategies, while Alicia dove into this new world, learning how to present her work in a way that could touch more people. You have a gift, Alicia, Gabriel said one day, admiring one of her recently finished sculptures. And I want the whole world to see it. Alicia smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. It was the first time, since her disappointment with Ricardo, that someone made her feel truly valued. With Gabriel's help, the online shop came to life, and the first orders started trickling in one by one. Alicia beamed with joy at each sales notification, feeling that, little by little, a new path was being paved before her. Between photo sessions and work, Gabriel and Alicia began to get to know each other better. They discovered shared interests and laughed together while working. Alicia, who had promised herself not to fall in love again, began to let her guard down, allowing a new feeling to settle into her heart. Alicia's online shop was thriving, and orders were steadily increasing. Social media had become a showcase for the artwork that had once been limited to her small studio. Alicia and Gabriel had become a harmonious team, and their positive energy together was evident. More than just a business partner, Gabriel was becoming an indispensable friend, someone Alicia trusted wholeheartedly. One quiet day, while they were organizing some pieces for shipping, Gabriel surprised her with an invitation. "Alicia, there's a place I'd love to show you. It's special to me, and I think you'll like it. Curious?" Alicia agreed, and he took her to a viewpoint on a hill overlooking the city. The sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. They sat side by side, in silence, watching as the city began to light up. It was a scene brimming with peace, and Alicia felt a wave of gratitude for being there. Gabriel turned to her, summoning the courage to speak. "Alicia, ever since we met, I've seen a strength in you that's inspired me. You're an incredible person, and I want to be by your side, not just as a friend, but as someone who wants to build a future with you. I know your life is still full of challenges, but I want to face them with you." Alicia, surprised, felt her eyes fill with tears. Gabriel's honesty touched her heart in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. "I feel something special for you too, Gabriel. But I'm scared that things won't be so simple." He held her hands, looking into her eyes with conviction. "Nothing in life is simple, Alicia. But I believe that together, we can make everything lighter. I want to be by your side every step of the way, through the good and the tough moments." Hearing Gabriel's words, Alicia felt her resistance weaken. She allowed herself to be vulnerable for a moment, and right there, amidst the city lights, she agreed to give a new beginning a chance. The kiss that sealed the moment was gentle, filled with promises and hope. In the months that followed, with Gabriel by her side, Alicia's studio became a well-known destination for admirers of her art. Life wasn't perfect, but for the first time, Alicia felt she was walking toward a future that truly made her happy. And she knew that by her side was someone who believed in her wholeheartedly.